Hello and welcome back to this edition of Daily Actives brought to you by Bootleg Macro. I am Dustin. This is the show where we review the most active stocks in Yahoo Finance every single day. We're going to be starting with Plug today. Plug is one of the ones that we've been paying attention to for a while here. It continues to hit the top of the new highs list. Maybe that's not true. The most actives list. Ooh, actually, that is definitely true in the most highs list. We look what's been going on in Plug. I will say the thing, and I continue to say this, is that it's been showing very strong trend. Ever since we saw the volatility essentially fall out of it in May here, leading into June and July. We've essentially seen what has been a really narrow trading band, and that all changed. It looks like on the 11th, or no, the 16th, 17th of September. I'm very fascinated by the fact that this thing has broken the top of its range, consolidated a little bit. It's pulled back from the top of the range, and now it continues to follow it. I do find it fascinating just that this is what we would consider to be like a perfect looking like move. It comes from low volatility where it's gaining like steam of bullishness, and then eventually has like a blow off. I'm not sure exactly how far this could go, but I do like to see that we've got really high volume over the past couple days as well. The big volume on the actual two large up days, especially when you're at the top of the range and rising, I do think they're very, very positive. I'm not sure how much of it is actually, I don't know how much it's driven by options, I guess. I mean, there's a lot of different factors in terms of how you get a volume of nearly 400 million shares traded in a day, especially when I mean, the average volume is 83 million, so that's like a shit ton. Well, I mean, duh, you're probably watching this video because you traded it, but if we look at the daily sentiment, this thing maintains at 63.5%, or no, 63% on the daily. Even on the 15-day, we can see this thing is actually starting to be pretty consistently just above the 50. I mean, it is above 60 very consistently. It hasn't been below 60 if you think about it since the 17th of September. When we start to look at where Plug is in terms of relative volatility, it is breaking out continuously. This is the highest amount of volatility that we've seen in 9 months. I'm going to go ahead and just look down here, see for the past 9 months. It looks like we are higher. Yeah, we're definitely higher. So the volatility that we're seeing right now is a 3. That's the highest going back for the past 9 months in all volatility and Plug. There's whatever's going on, I would start to believe it just because the volatility looks really strong in the positive way in terms of the prices pulling it. You're starting to see that the bullish sentiment continues to maintain. The volume is there, which is like a confirming factor. It'd be one thing if you had high volume but still less than this day, but you're getting volume that is I mean, that's crazy. Like in terms of significant volume, you're talking at nearly 500 million shares, followed by 400 million shares in 2 days, while it's breaking out to higher highs with high sentiment, high volatility. I mean, where's the? I can only imagine that what we're actually looking at here. Yeah, I got to refresh that. The only thing that I can imagine that we're looking at here is that we're going to see the top of the range inside of the data table here. Yeah, we're definitely. I mean, the data table is going to tell us right away that we're essentially significantly high. Even in volume, we're moderately high. It looks like Friday was a monster of a day, just as you consider based on what we saw just in the chart a little bit earlier. But interesting at 413. Trade levels at 230. Top of the range is at 410. So you're already, as we could see in the chart higher, we are breaking up above the top of the range. You still have a higher high. You still have probability to rise. You're still positive on a 1 day all the way through the 1 year. I mean, the thing is that's concerning is that you're up 154% in the 3 month. That's going to come down 186% on the 1 month. That's most likely going to come down. I mean, I wouldn't hold it against Plug to say that it can't do it, but the type of move you're seeing today, this is a massive move, obviously with the volume as well. But this thing just gets out. Actually, you know what? Good luck. I hope everybody makes money. Plug is a great stock to trade. It's tons of fun. Let's go ahead and look at Open, very nice move. I mean, looking at it on the 3 month and the 6 month, you can see the move that we've seen in Open has been essentially continued and steady. I love that it was just coming out of the middle of its range. I am surprised that it made this move. I don't know exactly what prompted it. I do like that this move, while it is today, Open was up 14.3%. Oh, by the way, I'm going to call this out. The reason why, if you look at this chart, you see that it says it's only plus 11.74. But if you look on the right here on Yahoo Finance, it says 14.43%. The reason why is because I calculate this one on this chart based off of the actual open of the day to the close of the day. Yahoo Finance uses yesterday's close to today's close, which I think is still an okay way. I do it down here. Like that's why on the data table it's 14.43%. It matches Yahoo Finance because down there I use it from yesterday's close because that's the prices that I have here, right? I mean, I keep the close, which is from close to close, which I think is fine. But I do think there's something important about being seen, specifically when you're looking at the intraday. When we look at something like AMD in just a minute, I think you're really going to understand. So if we're looking back at open, I like that we're back up above the volume. I do like that we essentially have taken down to 53%. Looks like we're bouncing off a little bit at 55%. Even on the 15-day, we've actually now finally crossed above 50%. That's nice to see. Ooh, what I love. If you watch my other videos, you'll know this 100% to be true. I love when volatility starts starts falling, because I believe that that's when something starts to trend. So when volatility is falling, especially if you've had a major run up and it's just a really nice gentle glide in terms of just coming down slowly, which this could happen for months. Like the size or the height of this volatility that you're seeing in open, the height of the volatility is monstrous. That's 1 year. Let's look at 5 years. I don't even know if we have 5 full years with the data, but I mean, this is going back to 2023. You're looking at where we are. This is the highest level of volatility that we've seen in open going back 2 years, 3 years. So I know that this move down is going to look is going to be fantastic. It's going to take a long time. You can't tell that if you look at the data only here, because it doesn't, you don't have the full timetable of what we just looked at. But I expect this to fall. I like that the correlation is negative. The price is usually going to go sideways to up because two negatives make a positive, which is why you see the future price path. The price, I mean, today obviously it was at 14%. Yesterday was good to buy it. But I'm pretty sure I mentioned that if you're going to buy it, like this is the area where you'd want to buy it, just because you are actually below the trade level. You're still very bullish. Those are the 4 days. I mean, you're in the normal range. You're still in the normal range in terms of where this thing can go. Obviously, it can go all the way up to 1152, but you'd rather own it from $8. You'd rather own it from $8 than 950. You know what I mean? But that's just a personal thing. I don't own it, do not by any chance. But if you do, that's when you want to buy it. And what I love here is what we just talked about in terms of plug. You can see the 1 month here. This thing was up at 106%, 126% before. It came down to 22%. Like that's the type of move that I'm expecting in plug, by the way. Even though this is open, I just kind of want to call it out because I think these are very similar setups, especially when you're looking at the data from a longer term perspective, in terms of how something is going to react when it gets up 106%, 150, 165%, 100 or 200%. It's going to come down. It will. That's just the way it works because it would mess up. It just isn't natural to move that much. Let's go ahead and look at AMD. AMD. Now, what a move today. I'm not sure is paying someone to pay them back. I'm not quite sure, but whatever deal they did with OpenAI, awesome. I mean, big fan over here. Super enthusiastic. Can't wait. Let's see what the stock does because right now it just went from what was previously slightly bearish to it looks like an absolute monster breakout above the top of its range. This is the place where you're going to notice in terms of the day return is that yes, this is why I like this, by the way, in terms of seeing the open to close on this chart versus the close to close, because AMD here they say it was up 23%. Yes, that's true. It was definitely up 23% from its open at 22 at $22 and 26 or whatever down to its close at 203. You're down 10% for the day. Now, I'm not saying that that's necessarily a big deal, but it is something that I'd like to know. I don't want to just see like, oh, it's 23% today. I'd like to know that it couldn't sustain those gains. You know what I mean? Because while people should be selling, people should be looking at this from a longer term perspective. So let's look at what we have going on in the rest of AMD. This volume, nuts. That's a bonkers amount of volume. I'm gonna look and see over 5 years. Yeah, over 5 years, this is the most volume that we've seen. This goes all the way back to November of 2023. Absolutely bonkers in terms of the volume that we're seeing in AMD. So first off, great move in that. If we look, we're breaking out from bearishness. The volatility is there. In terms of the gap up, we are still below the 50% line in the bullish sentiment indicator. Super fascinated by this because this move is going to have to be digested. This is why I think that there's much more to come in terms of what AMD can do. What is their market cap? I don't really care about market cap, but I know other people do. It's only 304 billion. That can go up. I mean, in the world that we live in now, why can't it be a trillion? I mean, Nvidia's 4.5 trillion. Why can't AMD be 1 trillion? I don't even know if that's possible. I don't know what their sales or anything is, but just the reality of how people think, why can't it be $1 trillion company? Because this move is telling me when we look at the sentiment only being at 49%, we're looking at it essentially negative here on the 15-day. We're getting a complete resetting of the volatility as of today as this move is happening. The real volatility is breaking out. The correlation is very, very high. Yeah, this is gonna be an interesting move because did we just snap from bearish? Yeah, we did just snap from bearish to bullish. So we just jumped from 164 of 23% to 203.71. This is a move that is gonna completely change the trajectory of what the stock was gonna do for the year. I mean, yeah, you were up 19% before, and I guess over 6 months you're up 115%, but prepare for crazy numbers, especially on the 1 year, I think you could easily see this thing be up 40%. Just because the type of market narrative that we have right now, the type of bubble that we're looking at, AMD is a prime candidate. If they did a share split, oh my God, if they did a 10 for one and they came down to $20, they would go bonkers. They would go directly back up to $100. That's exactly what happened in AMD. I like what I see here. This is actually something I'm going to pay attention to. I actually need to start showing you how to use features. I'm actually going to save this to my portfolio. The reason why I'm going to save it to my portfolio, and actually I'm going to put an alert on this thing, I think. I think I'm definitely going to put an alert on AMD. What is the, let me create an alert real quick, just since we're here. I'm going to go to AMD. Let's see what we have. Okay, I mean, it's at, actually, hold on. I'm going to X out of this. I'm just realizing what I need. So now, it'll let me sign back in. So let me go to AMD real quick. I want to see where I should put my, essentially the alert. The reason why is because I can't, the move is too dramatic and I don't have any concept of where could we go. So essentially, I'd be looking, yeah, 187. I don't think that the mid 190s is a terrible idea. The problem is the trade level is so far away. This does not work great with that. I'd probably say like, yeah, 195. Let's see if we can ever get down to 195. Yeah, let's see if it goes below. There we go. I'm gonna put 196.99. So what I like about this, I built this because, of course, I built everything because I didn't need to. This is just how I see the world personally. I can set my price alert. It's going to go below that. It looks all day. I don't have push notifications or browser just yet. I'll set it for 90 days and I'll create the alert. These are active for, I believe that everything expires at a certain time, like 1 year. This one's a 90 day, but everything will expire after a certain amount of while. But this thing is just checking all the time and it sends you emails based off of whatever your alerts are. Let's go ahead and look at what do we have for NVIDIA. Ugh, NVIDIA, what an ugly day. It's an interesting move in NVIDIA as well because NVIDIA has been leading the entire like market. So if we think where we are, and I've talked about this recently, is that NVIDIA is going full like return of Revenge of the Sith is what I'd say. It's like the Return of the King is what I said the other day. But I mean, the move I'm seeing right now isn't really super convincing. Like a negative 1% day is kind of whiny. Specifically because I'm looking at this thing should be getting, this thing needs some carry through. We really got to break into the 190s here. NVIDIA really has got to break into the 190s for this thing to probably reclaim its bullishness. The close is 185. It looks like the top of the range is 192. I'd like to see the range be going higher, but it actually came down a little bit today. I don't like that. The volume way down. I mean, not way down necessarily. It's 190 million shares traded traditionally, 150 million shares traded today. But if I look at what I'm seeing in terms of the sentiment, we are just barely around 50%. Like we're 6 basis points above going negative on the daily sentiment. On the 15-day, we're actually already negative. We've been negative for 2 days in a row. 40, we're getting lower. I mean, the thing that I can't seem to understand about what NVIDIA has going on right now is how did they lose the mojo? I mean, I would say that I expect that if you think that this is bullish, which I personally do because I definitely have calls in them, but and like if you think that this is bullish, the move has got to be so good because right now this is just taking time. And what I mean is like you can look and you can say you're up 12% in 3 months, you're up 10% in 1 month. I mean, but very recently you've been negative on a 1 month, which yes, you're happy to be up 10%, but there are stocks just very similar to what we looked at in terms of Open, Plug, potentially AMD. Probably even, I mean, I don't know, Rigdy. Intel's a great example of other stocks that have been making you more money and have been moving a little bit more. It's just the way that I'm seeing the world. This is a very comfortable stock that you can just buy over and over, but because it is not being able to flip from bearish to bullish for me, I have no need to just hang out in this thing. I don't need to trade bearish trends to try to prove something to myself. I want trading to be as easy as friggin' possible because I think that fundamentally, if you can just figure out like what's the direction of the market, are we going up or going down? Then after that, you just need a place to be able to figure out like, okay, where should I buy? Which is what I pay attention to. All I pay attention to is where do I buy, not why, just like when. Okay, the price is down here, I'll buy there. If the price is down here, I'll sell there. Whatever it is. These kinds of moves in Nvidia, waste of time. Waste of time. I mean, great company, great CEO, like fantastic products, very innovative, all these things. Again, I don't read the news. This is not somewhere that I want to spend my time right now. Let's go ahead and look at Archer. What is it? What is Archer? Aviation? Archer Aviation? Is that like, is that a joke on like, you guys chicken? Like, Archer, is it food or is it planes? I don't know what they do. I have no idea. I mean, they're less than $10 billion company. Like, no, of course I don't know what they do. What is Archer Aviation? But I'll tell you what their stock is doing. This thing looks fantastic in terms of the move. I don't like how much volatility I've been getting without it actually going anywhere. I mean, yeah, you've gone from $8 to yeah, you're at 13 now, which is a great move. But we've seen moves like this where we were at 13 in May. Looks like we even got to like 13 in July. So there's some suspect that would say that this may or may not be a real thing. I like that some people would say like maybe a double bottom or something. I don't really pay attention to that, but I do like that we're seeing some gap ups, and I love that it's on the highest volume. I love that it's the highest volume that we've seen out of every single one of these massive moves. We're incredibly bullish, but see, the thing is, the problem here is that we've been incredibly bullish on Archer. I don't know what this thing is. I don't know why it has so much like activity to it. It's at 64% bullishness on the daily. It is holding in the mid 60s on the 15-day. It is breaking out of the volatility. The correlation is positive. The price should be just hopping, which is exactly what we're seeing. We're seeing this thing up 17.8% today. I mean, I'm looking at this and I can say like it's definitely overbought. I can't really say anything else about it specifically just because when I look at it, all I see is a price that is just well above the trade level. It is even above the top of the range. It's got a higher high. This thing is up at 3%. I mean, 30% over the past 3 months. See, that's a move. Okay. When we're talking about what's going on in NVIDIA, look at Archer and just tell me why would you want to own NVIDIA right now? Unless you believe that that's going to flip from bearish like like this did to bullish. If you believe that we're going from bearish like we are here in Archer and NVIDIA to bullish like this, I believe you. I mean, I clearly do. I own calls in it, but Archer is a great example of the type of move that I want to buy. I want to own things that look like that. Let's go ahead and look at Denison Mines. Let's see Denison Mines. I see the problem, and I think I said this in my last mines. It's too much. I'm just not at a point where I want to own mines. No matter how good the mine is, the dividend has got to be insane. I need I need an 8% dividend if I'm going to own a mine, especially if it's going to be a $2.5 billion mine. Like we need to be looking for stuff. I don't know what they do. I don't know what they don't do, but all I can say is it's going to be tough. I mean, actually, it looks like they have a very nice trend. I spoke far too soon. Denison Mines, very nice trend. If we look at what we're looking at here too, the thing that I will say that I like about some commodity stuff, the trending nature of the way that commodities get treated. This is a very, I mean, yes, it's bearish in here and have been difficult for me to own specifically, just because I don't like to trade bearishness and hence the rant I just went on. But I do think that we find a nice longer term trend, even if it doesn't look so clean. I mean, obviously the low was that Liberation Day? I mean, I'm not sure if that was Liberation Day. I forget what day it was, but that's the 9th or the 8th or 9th of April. So maybe that was Liberation Day. But I can tell you that this move looks legitimate only because the volume. Look at all that volume that came in June, right? And what I love about that, price didn't move. Like this period in here where it was bearish, at least on the trend level, mad volume. And just didn't even move, continued to trend higher. We didn't really get super negative. We got to like 43, like low 40s, but never below the 40s in terms of our bearishness or bullishness. Yeah, I like the move that I'm seeing. I wouldn't necessarily buy because it's even too low volatility for me, but I love the fact that the volatility is about to roll over. It might be the best volatility that we've seen. Just because it's very similar to the one that we were looking at, I think it was open, where it can fall for a long time. Now, if we look at where we are in terms of the range, yeah, we're right in the middle. We're getting pretty close to the trade level. I like this. I mean, it, it's a good setup, is how I see it. I look at this as this could be something that I would actually want to buy. I mean, again, not enough volatility specifically for me, but I think it's just easier just to buy calls on the queues because, like, why try hard? You know what I mean? Like, the queues are crushing it. Why would I do anything? I mean, I can look at the actives. I think they're fun. I think the daily actives are fun, but in terms of an actual trade, I can see they're just hard unless they really trend. Like Snap here, Snap does not trend. Snap has a problem. Don't know what it is, but this thing is like it's like allergic to trending. They can go sideways, they can consolidate, they can like build a base, but the base has been lasting for like 3 years. Like, I mean, yeah. Congratulations to those who got to sell up here at $16 back in 2024 or back in 2023. But for the rest of us living in the past 18 months, the price has had any trouble since it's hit 1250. You know what I mean? Like we're at 850 right now. It was like 723 back in April, and in August of 2024 it was $9. That's not fun. That's not a fun trade. The activity is amazing because when we look at the actual, I would say the actual charts here, you can see that we have built what would be considered to be like a base. We've got great volume, massive volume as we continue to work out of this hole. The daily sentiment looks great because it is well above 50%, even on the 13 day or on the 15 day. We're looking at the snap volume or the snap volatility. It looks like it's starting to break out, which is kind of honestly not what I'd want to see, but I want to see some sort of trending volume or volatility. Prices to rise. We're bullish. We're well above the trade level. The top of the range is higher, which I love to see. It really, this is something where I'd say, no, I don't want to buy this either because now you're at the top, now you're moderately high. So like I'd want to start to sell, especially if you get up to like $9. I would say the $9 range is what I'd be shooting for if I was in Snap, but I don't necessarily see a path to get there because we haven't, when we had the highs here, we were at 850. I mean, which we're at eight, actually, not terrible. It's just these moves are so ugly. You're down 8%, then all of a sudden you're down this much. Like you're still negative. That's why, because you're still negative on a 3 month. When you're negative on a 3 month, you're just printing bad paper. Like it's just, it doesn't look great. You can get massive moves during the day, but I do not see why Snap is so much attention other than people getting out. I mean, what is it? Just like people. Let's look at BBAI. So if we're looking at the overall chart, things look good. You're in the middle of the range. It looks like you're breaking towards the top of the range at 99 or at 893. The price continues to stay what I would consider being the top half, which I like to see. The prices had a nice pullback as well. It looks like whatever that low was, it looks like 633. Feel very comfortable. I like as well that we've got very good volume. The volume continues as we start to push back up, and we fell back a little bit. The other thing I'd say that might be slightly concerning is that the volume is falling while we would have to be breaking through this level. It looks like around like 880, especially if we want to see anything higher. I do like that the sentiment is at 53%. Things look good, breaking up above the 50% line. I would be a little cautious just because this thing got all the way down to 31% bullishness in September. That is a crazy move. You generally don't, 27%. You normally do not see moves like this unless the volatility is ridiculously high. And when I say ridiculously high, I mean, I can tell here that this thing could, I mean, how much was this thing down at one point? This thing had to be down like massive, right? Yeah, in 1 month, this thing was down like 30%. I was like, this thing had to be down massive. You could just tell the speed of the moves, even with that indicator in terms of the sentiment here, it normally never will get below like 40. So the idea that you got down to 32% bullishness here, 31%, that's a remarkable move. Even on the 15 day, it can definitely get lower because it's much more sensitive. But getting down to like in the high 20s, you never see that. I've never seen something like even on the high side, you'd expect it to be equal because it's 100%. This thing can't break 69, even on the high side. So the idea, like again, the equivalent, that's you're barely 30. I mean, you're 29 above. Here you are, you're whooping. Like this is that's hard to do. So I think the moves that you could see inside of this will be dramatic. They will be eventful. And they can make a fortune. They could also bankrupt you. If we're being honest about where it is, though, it is well now above the trade level. Definitely yesterday was much closer. It's still bullish, which is positive to see. Top of the range is still quite a ways up there. Obviously, you're still positive in the 1 day all the way through the 1 year. So things are looking really, really good instead of BBAI. I want to look at some of the high ones. I want to look at some of the ones that kind of went well today. Actually, I want to look at SoFi. SoFi is an interesting one to me because I think SoFi has name recognition. I think it has the price level. I think it has the recent trending availability. I no longer own SoFi. If you watch my previous video, I told you I sold all of it when it started to have this down move because I was like, that's weird. Today was an interesting day though, because SoFi was definitely up and then faded. SoFi definitely had the opportunity where it could have had a great day and then it definitely faded. Refresh this. Let's see if we can get the regular one. SoFi, what was it? It was up 4.4% today. But even that move was on pretty decent volume, 96 million, not 100 million, but pretty good. We're seeing it break back out. What is it up? Now it's finally above 50% as of today, which is really nice to see. It's still negative on the 15-day, so it's down at 44%, but I love that the volatility is breaking down. The volatility breaking down, as I continue to say, is when trend will generally reveal itself, especially when you have a negative correlation. Two negatives do make a positive, so the price will usually go sideways to up when you've got the falling volatility and falling price correlation. I think if we look at where the price is, we are now back in the middle of the range. We're still normal. Again, it was up 4.4%, but because of where SoFi has been, because the 5-day and the 15-day were negative, where SoFi has been, you wouldn't see it flip bullish. I need it to be able to be above the trade level. I mean, yes, this is probably a very good spot to buy. 25, 24 is probably a very good spot to buy, but that's what you would have felt like with 25.76, and you went down even further. So it's an interesting spot. I am happy that we flipped positive on the 1 day. I like that. I like that we're maintaining the positive on the 3 month and the 6 month. But the 1 month is really what I'll pay attention to for the time being because we are bearish on SoFi. I'd like to see where this thing moves. I'll probably set an alert on this too, just probably above 27. Let me go ahead and just create one. Anything above 27, I'll buy. If it's above 27, I am definitely on board with that. I think that it's definitely going to be there in the next couple days. SoFi is an interesting setup in my opinion, and I do think that it has a lot of attention just because why not? Let's go ahead and look at Mara. I'm going to look at Mara real quick just because we're getting towards the end of the video. I think Mara is going to be Mara. Anytime that Bitcoin's running, Mara's going to run. Now, if you think that Mara is one of the best stocks that you could buy relative to like owning Bitcoin, like if you don't own Bitcoin, but you just decide I need to own something in the Bitcoin space, Mara is like, okay. I mean, why? You're gonna buy somebody who just like mines Bitcoin? Why don't you just buy Bitcoin? I mean, I don't have an opinion in terms of necessarily what people do. I'm just looking at stocks that exist on Yahoo Finance. But if you're trying to get to the Bitcoin universe, Mars, okay. I mean, and when I say it, like, look at this chart. Like, great, great. You're $15. You're $15 in October of 2024. Great. You're $20 in October of 2025. I mean, what a run. Generational. Like you're up 25%. Sweet. I mean, you could have just owned the cues. It is interesting that we're bullish. I do like that we're starting to see a breakout. I do like to start to see that we are really starting to have some sort of what looks like potentially the beginning of like trend in terms of the way that the range is moving. The price is hitting the top of it. The price is continuing to break out. If you believe in a base, that's a good thing. If you like the volume, which I do appreciate, you've had very strong volume very recently as this thing is continuing to break out. Even today, not massive volume, but well above the average of the past 6 months. We are positive. We are 58% positive on the daily. On the 15-day, we have been positive for a while. We're at 61%. We've been positive since it looks like September 10th. I mean, even on the daily since like September 11th, never forget. As we look at even the volatility starting to break out as the prices, kind of like it because eventually you're going to get a nice trend as the volatility starts to break down in the future. The price is significantly high. It's not a great look, but if you're looking at where it's come from and moderately high, sometimes you just don't get an opportunity to buy things because they never go on sale. I mean, the only time that this thing went on sale if it was below the trade level while still bullish. That is the signal that you want. I love things that are under the trade level while still bullish and then still like positive on the 1 month. The 3 month it went negative for a day, but like, in the 1 year, what a day. What had gone on leading into this? Because to make something go negative on the 1 year just out of the blue and then negative on the 3 month, that will always trick my system and make me think that there's like an opportunity to sell. But that move was your really only opportunity, especially this like slight up. Where was this thing? I mean, yeah, it was under the range, it was under the trade level, but it definitely wasn't at the bottom of the range. But again, Mara's I don't know what I think should happen here. My fair analysis is that if I look at Mara, I don't expect this thing to go higher than like $25. So if you bought it at 10, yay, or 15, yay. But if you buy it at 20, yeah, I mean, it'll go $5. I mean, yes, that's a good amount of money, but I guess I wonder how quickly they'll do it. That's the thing. As somebody who likes to buy options on like a 6 week time frame and likes to buy called like at the money, buying at $18, I could definitely see this thing hitting like 23 and then I have to sell. Because I just don't know if this thing has it in it to really trend. It's just not one of those things that I'd look at. For the last one, we're gonna look at Tesla. I'm always so curious what's going on in Tesla. Tesla has to be the most fascinating stock that you can or have traded over the past not even 5 years, because this man has been like sending memes and hitting the meme lords like since 2016. Like before it was even the idea that Elon Musk could buy Twitter, he was on Twitter and when it was still Twitter. So I mean, let's take a look. This takes a while because it looks like it doesn't. I don't have the data for Oh wait, it's because I spelled Tesla wrong. I was like, what is this? I should have Tesla already in my like data cache, so it should be faster. But if we look, this is a move. This is a move, boys and girls. You really can't hate on this because the volatility gods have blessed Tesla. Looks like this thing has been bullish ever since. Classically, it looks like it reversed on the 21st, the day after 420. Or was there no 420 for some reason? Yeah, there was no 420. So it bottomed on, it looks like 421 of 2025, and it's been essentially up and to the right ever since. I don't know if that was the day that he got out of the administration or whatever it was, but we can see that we saw a breakout, it looks like in September 10th, September 11th, never forget. And then we continue to ride. It looks like we have a chance of going all the way up to 497 from 453. So the thing is that the percentage move isn't that crazy, but the relative price move is crazy. So it is nuts to think about being able to buy calls on this thing at like 450 and then seeing it go to 500 because it can very easily do that because of the price that it's at. Right? Like a 10% move, I don't think is unlikely here. It's making me completely rethink what I said about Mara, but this thing actually trends. That's the thing about Tesla. It actually trends where Mara doesn't really trend very much based on what I'm seeing. What I mean is like, look at Tesla. This is the trend. Like that breakout, then the peak where you got the sell signal here, that's a trend. Like those are proper trends to me where you're looking at, you have like months to be able to take advantage of these things. They can't just be like small oscillations. They have to be like actual moves. Like this move right here, this trend. I mean, yes, it was essentially non-trendy right here, but it maintained bullishness the entire time. Like, and you've just been able to. It falls, you buy it. It falls, you buy it. It falls, you buy it. It's so easy with Tesla. But if we're going to be honest about where we are, I kind of like it. I kind of like it. We got high volume. We got high sentiment. I mean, the sentiment's probably the concern because it's probably too high at 65 or 66%. You can already see it starting to fall on the 15 day, right? We're coming down at 59%. I love that the volatility, again, just like what we were looking at open at the beginning of the video, starting to roll over. It looks fantastic. If we look at where we are in terms of Tesla, Tesla looks like you could buy it. I mean, on the 1 month, it's at 30%. We've already reviewed what happens there. I mean, the other day was probably the day to buy it at 429, 436. Before, obviously, today you're up 4.5 or 5%. We're well above the trade level. We've got a higher low. We don't have a higher high just yet, but I love that we have a higher low. So the bottom of the range is starting to come up, which is going to start really pushing on, especially when you see a move like this where it goes from 319 to 329 to 342. We're going to start pushing aggressively on the bottom of the range up towards the actual price. It'll get there relatively quickly, especially when you have moves like this. So I'm very bullish on what I see in Tesla. Tell me what you think in the comments below. If you want to follow, you can follow me on Twitter. Don't have many followers. You can follow me here on YouTube. I have 347 videos and I have 171 subscribers. So I actually have more videos than subscribers at the moment, which is a sign of my dedication as well. We're improving day by day. But the thing is, if you're interested in crypto newsletter, I've definitely got one. It's free. It gives you something that's very similar to what we're looking at in terms of actually, let me look. Actually, what I'm going to do real quick is I'm just going to look at the crypto page because I want you to see what essentially you get. So the crypto page you'll get access to if you do sign up for the crypto newsletter, as well as you end up getting an email every single day, and you can set alerts just like you've already reviewed, and then you get to be able to look at this. I'm getting rid of the analysis. I do not need to pay for any ChatGPT and technical analysis. Even with a good prompt, I don't need it. It's just honestly, if you really want to take care of the data and you just pay attention to how your setup is, it really doesn't matter. I mean, buy bullish stuff. Like buy bullish stuff close to its trade level or at the bottom of its range. Whatever you have the stomach for. Like that's all that I see. Ooh, a higher high. I kind of like that. I don't even know what this says. Oh, actually, I think I got the email of this already today. But this is what I use it mostly for. And if you actually sign up, you get access to the macro. Oh, I should just plug this. So if you're interested, you can sign up for this website, traderanges.com/app. You can do the macro where you can see I've got a bunch of just like general. So like the SPY, the indexes, the small caps, the emerging markets, China, just some like individual like volatility indicators, bonds, gold, oil, gold, platinum, silver, copper, Bitcoin holdings, trusts, Apple, Amazon, so like big tech. I use this because for me, this is the easiest thing that I can pay attention to on a daily basis and just look across the broad market and be like, what should I be buying? So like in this situation, the best thing to me in terms of buying on like the big top tech is going to be Google. Like Google right now has the best setup because it's super close to its trade level. It's very, very bullish. The top of its range is, I will admit, starting to come down a little bit. Let's take a quick look at Google just because we're here. But like, look at this. I think the Google setup in terms of the way that I like to trade is the best setup that I can find right now in terms of like the top tech companies. The reason why is because we've had a pullback. The range has gotten really tight. We've gotten into what it would be considered to be the normal range. I'm going to go ahead and just quickly just scroll down here. You can see that we are in the normal range for Google and have been for quite a while. It looks like this 150 level. The mid 140s is really a strong number in terms of the mid 140s is where I have call options, but it seems like that this is a really strong number in terms of where Google is. We've maintained the bullishness. We've got higher lows. Things are continuing to move. The price is starting to rise in the future price path. We've had positive 1 day moves. We are negative on the 15-day, but we're positive still on the 1 month, 3 month, 6 month. When I look at the market, when I look at the market, for me, Google is the best setup. And actually, I'm going to ask you a question because we're here, and because if you made it this far, you probably are like semi interested in what I'm doing. I make for myself so I make myself, and I love this. I don't even know. It's probably the most useful thing that I've made for myself, even more than the crypto newsletter. Is it is this macro briefing guide. So it is all the same stocks that I have on the macro page. So if you come in here, all the same stocks that I review on the macro page, I get an email every day, 45 minutes before the stock market closes. I love this email. The reason why I love it is because it lets me, based on live data, because I pull the live data right here, and then it's based off of the trade levels, and but you get the live data sent to you 45 minutes before. I can go through and essentially scan. And what all I do is I look for is I go, okay, what's bullish and green. So I look and I go, okay, SPY, no. Qs, no. Too high, no. Small caps might have to sell some. Too high. Small cap value, no. Equal weight, no. Emerging market overbought. Ex China, emerging market, China. Bonds are a little oversold. So, yep, bonds are oversold a little bit. Oil actually is not bad. I haven't looked at oil like that in a while. I'm very curious on when this thing will cover or clear 74.20. And then if I look down at the bottom stuff, I'm like, okay, I could buy Apple, which is a little ways away from its trade level. I could buy Google, which is pretty close to its trade level, or I could buy Tesla, which we already know that Tesla ended much higher than this because if I look at the email that I got, I clearly got this again. I got this at 2:25 my time, which is central. So I got it sometime like back here when that was the price, and I should have bought because that was a great price to buy in Tesla, which was obviously up much more than that today. So this is an interesting email that I send myself. I'm just curious if anybody thinks it's interesting as well. If you do, please comment below. I would love to know in the comments below the YouTube video because I respect your opinion. I appreciate your input. And with all that, have a great day. We'll talk soon. Thank you.